About a month ago, my organization, Red Dot Foundation, took a group of young teenagers studying STEM to visit women scientists at the Baba Atomic Research Center in Mumbai. It was a fun visit. We visited the accelerator and other areas of the facility. And the girls were very happy to interact with the scientists. They asked lots of questions. Later that evening, one of the young girls, Archana, she asked to speak to us privately. She shared that her parents were forcing her to get married, while she wanted to pursue her education because she wants to become a doctor. She is only 17 years old. She has refused to marry, but the choice is not hers to make. Last week, a friend of mine shared a case from Bangalore. A young girl, Rani, who is studying information technology, she'd stopped going to college. She was terrified when we asked her why, and it took a lot of coaxing for her and her mother to share the reason why. Apparently, there's a group of young men ragging the young women in that college. They would hang around outside the ladies' toilet, pass lewd comments, subject them to indecent gestures, and also flash their private parts. And despite several complaints, no action was taken. So like Rani, many of the girls stopped going to college or have asked for a transfer. And what happened to those young men? Some of them have graduated, and they have got lucrative jobs in the IT industry. A few days ago, I attended a very famous media and advertising awards function where a renowned actress received an award. And in her acceptance speech, she shared that as a young girl, she was free to pursue her dreams and hobbies, music, art, dance, and so on. But ever since she got married, she felt constrained because a lot of restrictions were placed on her by her family. And she pleaded emphatically, please, I just want to be me. So as we consider these three stories, I dare to ask you, are women and girls truly free? Free to do and act as they wish, or even just be themselves? Now, these stories are just a small part of the many stories I have heard of women and girls clamoring to break free from the shackles of patriarchy. Women and girls are constantly at the receiving end of rigid societal norms that dictate where she can go, what she should wear, what time she can go out, how she should behave, who she can go out with, and so on. This excessive control over women and girls and their lives has negative consequences. And it is an act of abuse. Often, people confuse it with love and protection, but it is not. It affects their mobility, choices, and opportunities. And on the other hand, it takes great courage for someone to demand an education, to stop their marriage, or to even take up their career, or even just be themselves. For the last 10 years, I have dedicated my life to ending various forms of violence against women and girls. Surprisingly, I find not many women initially consider the incident that occurred to them as a form of violence. And that's because it's been normalized. It's part of their daily reality. After Jyoti Singh was gang raped on a bus in Delhi 10 years ago, I launched a platform, Safe City. It is an anonymous reporting tool where anyone can document their experience of sexual and gender-based violence. And I encourage women to come forward and document their cases because it bridges the data gap. Many of these stories go unreported. I also wanted to name these incidents as violence and make it visible so that we not only understand how it looks, but also its impact on women and girls. And stories that are reported on Safe City, as well as those that come up in the community discussions that we have, showcase the various ways that patriarchy restricts women and girls, but also how it prevents her from enjoying and living her constitutional freedoms and rights, which is, by the way, guaranteed under the Constitution of India. One common example is that women and girls are often stopped from going out at night. And this is under the guise of protection. Yet, the same rules don't apply to men. They are free to roam around late as they wish and enjoy themselves. Another example is restricting women from taking up jobs or investing in her career because she might have to go further, spend more time outside, have less time with her children, and fewer hours to do household chores. Unpaid domestic care work is seen as a woman's responsibility. And in India, women spend, on an average, daily 5.5 hours more than their spouses doing these chores. These restrictions of returning home early, taking up safe jobs, have negative consequences. It impacts opportunities, choices, and also your financial independence. In Satara district, we have a project where we are training young people to be safety champions in their communities. And several young girls came up and shared that they want to continue their education, but they cannot. There is no college in the vicinity of their village. So they have to go to Pune or Mumbai and study further. And their parents are opposed to this. So they have no choice. They don't have an education. Over the last few years, I have seen my friends, witnessed my friends giving up many opportunities, lucrative job postings, postings abroad, girls' trips, road trips. Why? Because often their husbands do not give them the permission to do so. The very fact that somebody can dictate what you can or cannot do is very limiting. But it can also be a form of abuse, especially if it's done with the intent to restrict your movement. And these are women who are highly accomplished, urban, literate, and financially independent. Can you imagine how less free are those who do not have these privileges? My organization hosts a lot of workshops for women and young girls, explaining to them the nuances and the spectrum of the various forms of violence, helping them understand their rights and the various laws in India that make these incidents a crime. Also, helping them with strategies to counter the harmful gender norms and stereotypes and reclaim their agency. It's not easy. Many of these girls, I can tell you, are trying to assert themselves. And at Red Dot Foundation, we have a huge data set of examples of where young girls have convinced their parents to let them play in the park. And not just play in the park, but play in the park when there are boys playing there too. We have examples where these girls have negotiated for greater freedoms. They've demanded that their parents actually work on creating safe spaces in the neighborhoods rather than curtail their freedoms. And many have also negotiated to postpone their marriages. Through this data set, they've been able to convince police, elected representatives, as well as civic authorities to better the lighting, improve the toilets and other infrastructure so that they can stay safe. And over a period of time, they've been able to actually add a few more hours during their day where they can maybe play, meet their friends, take up some courses which can advance them in their career. I have seen them grow confident. Not only are they negotiating for more rights and asserting themselves, but they are also reclaiming their agency to be in public and in private spaces. So it is very important that we continue this conversation, that we talk about these issues. We create safe spaces to break the silence. And we have proper educational curriculum that covers human rights, consent, and personal boundaries. We need a world where every woman and girl feels safe and valued, where on a daily basis she does not have to fight to live and enjoy her constitutional rights. We want her to feel free to be. And it is possible if you and I allow her to be. Thank you.